Perhaps it would have been more appropriate to discuss the role of the church within the state before that of the boyars, yet in the context of our three countries, nobility has always been closer to power than the church. To begin with, our first high-ranking clergymen were Greeks appointed by the Patriarch of Constantinople, as had been the case in Bulgaria and Russia. Later on, when we began to elect our own metropolitans, they held from the ranks of the nobility for a long time, because in medieval society, the church was an important way of both attaining and exercising power. The establishment of monasteries and skyths long preceded political entities throughout the area inhabited by Romanians. We have proof of a monastic life in Transylvania, Wallachia and Moldavia long before the creation of voivodeships. Centuries later, documents are in abundance, especially organizational records and charters recording grants to the larger monasteries. Voivodes and boyars stumbled over each other in the generosity towards the church, both out of religious fervor and for the absolution of sins. Documents even reveal endowments by the foreign rulers, such as Lazar of Serbia or Sigismund of Hungary, while our voivodes increasingly supported monasteries across the Orthodox world, especially those on Mount Athos in Greece, as one by one, Orthodox princes began to disappear, Bulgarian Tsars, Serbian and Greek despots, and of course the Byzantine Emperor. In Wallachia, as I noted earlier in the account of the incident that occurred during Nicolae Alexander's reign, we have a metropolitan, Romanian called metropolit, at Argeș since 1359. In Moldavia too we have the seat of a metropolitan, but these follow the voivodes as they move their capital over time. This is symbolic for the strong ties between the voivode and metropolitan following a Byzantine tradition that came to be known as Cesaropapism, or the idea that the secular power would always come before the authority of the church, especially when the conflicts arose. Such quarrels did occur between Wallachian and Moldavian voivodes and metropolitans, the monasteries on Mount Athos, and even the Patriarch in Constantinople, and it always was the will of the rulers that prevailed. The lower clergy, especially in the rural areas, came almost entirely from the peasantry, and more often than not lacked dogmatic knowledge. However, in both Wallachia and Moldavia, it was in the great monasteries that cultural activity was concentrated. The creation and copying of illuminated manuscripts, some of real artistic beauty, and later on, Romanian translations of the Bible and other religious works, as well as embroidery and mural painting schools. For centuries, those who sought prayer and spiritual peace found shelter in the monasteries far from the turmoil and horrors of the world.